think mine just went. Oh, I just did a quick stream, like immediate stream. So there's no.
Yeah.
So just click go live. Sorry, I didn't realize. I thought there.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I just press go live as well. It's fine.
I kind of thought there'd be like a second go live button, but there's not.
That's how you end up accidentally streaming your empty office half naked in the morning.
Yeah. It was fully naked, and that was a completely different situation.
We technically did not start Audacity, but
okay. Let's just do it.
Everyone's already watching, so you can all see how we do this. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Okay. Can you before we start? Let me just open the hockey game up and make sure that the the Leafs are playing and the Rangers. Ooh, the Rangers actually start now. Watch live.
Okay.
Chris
Well,
Pronger's
the
looking
stream's
right at
up.
me. Okay.
Are you good? Should I start?
I'm good. Go ahead.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to TapCaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast that spends 5 minutes talking about Justin wanting to watch hockey before we get into the Star Wars talk. I am Corey, joined as always by that very same Justin, Mr. Eckhart's Ladder. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm not saying I want to watch hockey. I'm saying I've got hockey on the second monitor. It's actually bigger than you are right now. So I told this story before maybe on the podcast, I can't remember, but I flew to Toronto. Pretty much Kelsey thought like we were going to the aquarium and like all like do fun stuff with the kids. And like, yeah, but like I was going to see a Leafs game. Even though they're like my second trip. Yeah, business trip. They're like my second or third team, but I end up making a buddy there. I'm the kind of person when I sit next to somebody, like I always make friends with them, or at least try to. I'm not always successful.
One of those people.
Yeah.
I'm not that person.
No, you're a weirdo. Yeah, it wouldn't work for you. You couldn't pull it off.
And
it was actually, it's funny enough. So I was sitting next to this lady, and she was like, "How's the popcorn here?" And I was like, "It's okay." And I was like, "Do you want to try some?" She was like, "Yeah." So I gave her some of my popcorn and we got talking. She told me about how her son was in the ECHL, which is like a lower level professional hockey league. But I ended up talking to the guy next to her who was, he was with an insurance company, I think, and she was his client. So we ended up talking. Well, I'm not going to say that. I won't say. Anyway, we went to the bar afterwards and had a great old time. And he just texted me like 5 minutes ago. I hadn't talked to him since I was there, and he just sent me a picture of his seat. He's like, "Your seat's open, buddy." Like, I don't live here. I don't live in Toronto. I was just visiting. But yeah, I got the game on in the background. So.
all right. Well, what a sad story you've told us.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about any of the big Star Wars news of the last day and a half since we last talked?
I'm not aware of the big Star Wars news that's occurred in the past day and a half. Do you want to?
I don't think there has been any.
Yeah, do you want to do a summary?
I was bluffing. It was all a bluff.
I wake up, I check Star Wars leaks, I throw my phone because there's nothing new.
So the big topic for today's episode is that Mandalorian's over. We're going to be talking about the season finale and a bit of our thoughts on the season as a whole. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, should we commit to a topic for next week's episode?
Yeah, we should. We also
is that going to be Dark Journey?
Either Dark Journey or before we get back into books, we get caught up on emails maybe.
I think we need to do a book. I think it has to happen.
All right.
It has to be Dark Journey, and then the week after that, maybe we do some emails before another book.
Like
the following week.
No. On my nose. What the fuck? Yeah, sure.
Because then we've got a week to do Jedi Survivor, so it's Dark Journey, question and answer, Jedi Survivor, and then maybe another book after that.
Dude, I got like a thing in my nose.
That's weird.
Yeah. Ow. I'm gonna go get it. I'll bring it back. It's like a splinter. Just talk to chat for a second.
Of the mind's eye? All right. Well, I tried to make it about Star Wars. He didn't go for it. Hopefully he's not dead. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about the Mandalorian finale. We both did a live reaction as we were watching the episode on Wednesday morning or Tuesday night, whichever you prefer. So we've got some of our thoughts out there, but we are going to have a
It was like
better
a really
chance
sharp
now that it's been
mustache
a few
hair.
days. No,
I don't know if you can see it. It like
I cannot.
popped off my mustache and started poking me.
Do we need to call anyone?
No, I think we're okay. I think having splinters in your nose regularly would be like a sign of cocaine use, right? So like across the table.
It'd be a sign of both cocaine use and having a strong need to sand your table, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let's get into Mando episode, the most
24?
recent one, episode 24. Yeah, chapter 20.
Episode the most recent.
Episode the most recent one. Yeah, give me your elevator review.
So I think both of us, when we watched it at the time, were pretty whelmed. Was your phraseology for it? I thought it was fun, but it was kind of disappointing in how some things got wrapped up, or just didn't get wrapped up. So yeah, it was fine. Is my kind of, if I had one word. What about you? Have you changed at all since Wednesday morning?
No, I there are aspects I like more and maybe some I even like less. I still feel pretty good about where the season ended up. I feel kind of hopeful for the future, but I've said that I had problems and they were kind of under the bus based on the Book of Boba Fett, but part of the problem is that they just didn't execute well, which that is not there was obviously some sort of difficulty in production or something, because a lot of the issues they had were just execution. The last episode had some major execution errors, the Grogu rescuing Mando 2 seconds in. That's not something that they were stuck into doing. That's something they chose to do and just didn't execute well. Same with the space battle, I think. And that's where I start to get a little frustrated, those things especially.
Yeah.
Because I feel if they had pulled off the episode a little bit better, it's pretty clear, even if you look at some of the concept art, I think that the episode probably at one point, I mean, I guess this is true for everything, was envisioned to have a little bit more in it, but just didn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I've seen since, and maybe I'm just getting too defensive about stuff again, is the idea that people who are even just on our own prior recap or reaction was that the things we didn't like was because we were let down in the expectations we made up for ourselves on what would happen. Because I think people are really focusing in on oh, you wanted Boba to be there and he wasn't, so that's why you're saying it's bad. If we're gonna talk about expectations that got let down, I don't really care if there's no cameos or anything. I don't care if my theories don't happen. But there were things that were set up by the show as these are specific problems we are facing or are going to face. Mm-hmm. And I was really interested to see how those could get resolved. And for some of them, they were brought up, they were really hammered home, and then just kind of never talked about any of them again. Because it was as late as last episode, pretty deep in, even around the time of Axe and Paz going at it a bit, that Bo-Katan was still these are two groups that are really going to struggle to work together. And maybe we'll get more of that in season 4, but there was never really a point where the Mandalorians were struggling to work together or where any conflict came up other than the rules about the game. And I think the same thing can kind of be said about their struggle to take back Mandalore. There was never a point where it felt like there was going to be a problem for them. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that was set up as a problem that they would have to solve to win the battle were the fighters and bombers, and then they got defeated off screen. And you can say something now because I have something else on this.
Finish your point then, because I kind of want to go back to the beginning of your comment. So yeah,
because the other example for this is something that's kind of a series long arc, not just this season, and it's kind of exemplary of some of the things that I felt kind of let down by. Is the stuff that Gideon's been doing with the cloning and with Force sensitives. And this was built up as one of the primary motivations of Gideon is what is he building towards? What is he going to do with it? How is that going to come into play in the show? And that's been going on since literally chapter 1, because that's why Grogu is involved in all this. But the way that gets solved, it's not that Gideon does anything or the clones of Gideon ever do anything in the episode or that we hear anything else about his force sensitive stuff. Gideon walks through a hallway. It's like, hey, there's Gideon clones. Flush walks into the room, and then Gideon's like, hey, those were my force sensitive clones. It'd be like if Alderaan hadn't been destroyed yet. They got on the Death Star, they blow up the Death Star, then the end of episode 4 is them saying, that would have been a problem. You didn't know this, but that could have blown up a planet. It's like no one could have a chance to care about that yet. Yeah, it just felt like a disappointing way to resolve something that's been such a big backdrop for the show.
Yeah, it wasn't satisfying when the Thrawn duology did that either. Yeah, but in that book, like there had been the kind of that had been hanging over the characters for a long time. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like in a sense, was I disappointed? Like, there's two types of disappointment for me. There's what I see as rational disappointment, and then there's emotional disappointment. Am I disappointed Boba Fett didn't show up? Yes, but if that had been my major issue with the episode, or even otherwise, I can look at that and say, okay, I'm disappointed that Boba Fett didn't show up because I'm a Star Wars fan. It would have been cool, but like that's just a theory. I'm not going to hold that against them for that reason. But then there's real issues, like the fact that, how have they not addressed? Like, I think the fact that he's shown calling them offs, and that's not addressed. Like, I think that's a bit of an oversight. And then there's the more serious ones, like you mentioned. You know, a lot of the problems are hand waved away. The Grogu just showing up. The Mandalorian, like kind of the different sect plot never really gets which, to be honest, I don't really care because I find Mandalorian culture really boring. But like all these things,
that's the show though. That's what they were talking about all season,
and that's why I was a little less excited for this season. And why? Because like I get to the fucking Mando episodes on the Clone Wars rewatch, skip, done.
Yeah, it's less that I'm like I don't love. I always thought it was going to be weird to have a thing that built up the Mandalorians as well, because like every time we see them doing the Mandalorian return with a V to their ancient Crusader ways, that ends poorly for a lot of people. But what I tend to be more interested in is like the characters and how things are going to affect them. Whatever else is going on around them, I like seeing there being some kind of emotional growth or stakes. And whenever you talk about like the Mandalorian not having that, it's not like I am saying, oh, everyone needs to have the same motivations as Andor, which is far more into that.
Yeah.
But like we just a month ago had a lot of that in the Bad Batch, and it was able to be expressed in action moments. If you look at former seasons of Mandalorian, like the thing that I love about the Mandalorian season 2 finale isn't Luke like flying through and slicing up the Dark Troopers. That was a cool scene. But the thing that really sticks with me about that, when I think about the finale, I think about like how far Din and Grogu have come, and you have like Pedro Pascal crying as he gives up Grogu to go train. And even just on Bo-Katan's side,
weak man.
Yeah, even just on Bo-Katan's side, when they're talking about the Darksaber and Bo-Katan is realizing like Din now has claimed it, he can't just give it to me yet. She's like, you can see how she's reacting to that, and there just wasn't the same emotional response to anything for anyone. Like Paz is dead, and if you want to have any kind of response to Paz being dead from anyone, it's like you can kind of look into Axe Woves and Ragnar standing next to each other at the end. But by the same token, if people are going to say, oh, well, you're disappointed because you had these expectations of things that are going to happen, I think you then can't give the show too much credit for saying like, oh, well, these things are there if you really read into those two standing next to each other. Because when I've made assumptions based on how people feel about stuff or what could happen going forward from stuff like that in the past, it's all been actually, no, that's not happening, and they don't care about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you're right, because not every show is going to be Andor in the way like it builds characters up, but like Rebels is a great example of a show that like the characters in Rebels aren't super deep. There are some that are, but like they're never handled in like a it's like a very, very complex way, like something like Andor handles characters like what's his name, Inspector
Gadget.
No, what's his name again?
Cyril Karn?
Cyril Karn,
or
yeah. Like like Rebels, all the characters are pretty cut and dry. You know, there are some like Callus who are certainly more complicated, or Zeb is probably the most complicated character. But like the way that show manages to pull off emotional stakes and really managing to make you care about Kanan at the very end, sacrificing everything, like you can do that in a show that's more straightforward. You just have to execute properly, and you've got to, you know, be patient with how you develop these things. Like Mando's had 24 episodes now. Like that's a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like a lot of that stuff definitely did take a step back this season to and like there's a missed opportunity, like even in the second to last episode where Mando's kidnapped, he's like in a life or death situation, Grogu's right there, and there's not even a fucking close-up shot on him freaking out and clicking the no button on his suit. Like yeah.
And even if you go back to season 1's finale, like when he's taking his helmet off with IG-11, like you can see how much this is bothering him, you can see how much the situation is bothering them. But in this, it was just like all the action heroes go through, win their fights. And the closest thing to a failure is that Bo-Katan has the Darksaber crushed, which she shrugs off pretty quickly. And I'm glad that they're able to move past that. But like this has been so highlighted as a thing that other people need from her for her to leave. So I'm fine with the like I don't need to be force-fed stuff. I'm fine with the implication that like we see all the Mandalorians still there at the end, so they don't care that she lost it. But with how much it was built up, like seeing some of that reaction and seeing it, just how much has to be taken by implication entirely with no reaction whatsoever, when these could have been pretty poignant scenes to help build some of those characters. And we didn't really get that. When that's the thing that Mandalorian has done before in not just the 2 season finales prior, but it's the kind of thing that like, when he was cast out from the first time and he went to hide with was she a widow? The first romantic interest, like there was emotional depth to that. There wasn't much happening in that episode other than exploring those characters. But I think the fight for Mandalore has taken up so much of the air in the last 2 episodes that they kind of coasted by on that rather than giving any of those character moments. And I think it's a bit weaker for it, especially when the battle didn't really have anything to overcome for them. They just kind of flew around and killed people.
Yeah, I even think I said this, but I even think Mando having his helmet off at the end would have been a little bit of character development. Like, yeah, he's not willing to openly acknowledge like that he's deviating from, you know, his traditions, but having the helmet off would have been like an implicit acknowledgement that I'm breaking my conditioning a little bit, or like I'm reevaluating my priorities, and like that feels like a bit of a missed opportunity to me in particular. Like I would have liked that.
Well, did you notice in the Creed when Ragnar was taking it that he didn't mention the helmet this time, but he did the first one? So that's like that shows some change in how the Children of the Watch are approaching things, but it's slightly undercut by the fact that like there's no one acting on that at all. Like, everyone just still has their helmet on. Yeah,
which I mean, that's fine. If you want to wear your helmet, go for it. Like, I'm not a handsome dude. If I had the option to wear a cool helmet, I probably would do it more time than not as well. Yeah. But like, it's like they could have done more on that. It's a little disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't think the expectations I have as far as that are unreasonable when I'm like I'm trying to focus as much on comparing it to things that the show has done before to clarify that it's not just like, oh, I watched Andor and now my expectations are different for The Mandalorian, because like I've seen other TV shows before. Andor wasn't the first good TV show or something. It's just it was the first type of Star Wars show that did that kind of thing, but even that isn't what I'm looking for from The Mandalorian. Like I thought The Mandalorian was already good. It's just they had so many opportunities to build on some of the character stuff that they seem to have been setting up and then just kind of left to the side here. Because like the big emotional moment was, I think, supposed to be for Din and Grogu, that like Din has adopted Grogu, but in season 1 we literally had the armorer tell him that you will be as his father. Yeah. And I was like, oh, so I thought we were already here.
Yeah, like everyone already refers to them as father and son. So it's like, I guess it's formal now, but
Yeah.
we kind of assumed it was.
She even said it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We didn't have to assume. I thought this was already just a thing.
Yeah. Weird bit.
But if we want to go the cameo direction, why didn't they have Yoda and Yaddle walk in at that moment?
This is my progenitor. You know him as Yoda.
What if Yoda turns out to just not be dead? Wouldn't that be crazy?
It's the one case where we literally saw the body disappear.
Yeah, that disappeared. There's no body anymore.
Powerful Jedi Master.
He flow walked to fucking Dantooine or something.
He's the only thing. He's in a long battle against the Killiks right now. And while everyone else is doing something, he's like, I need my friend, the Mandalorian, to keep the galaxy safe as I fight the Killiks. That is one thing that on the rewatch, I was like, they're in the base, and Moff Gideon's like, the Mandalorian escaped. It's like, do you know how many Mandalorians are in here right now?
So you'll need to be more specific.
Yeah. Like, oh no, the Mandalorian. Like, it's kind of funny when Grief says it. Like, Grief goes, Mando, but like, that's kind of what he's been calling him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is it a slur?
Might be.
What if instead of calling him the Mandalorian, Gideon just did like the sting that plays every time Din lifts his arm? Like, escaped.
That would have been good. Mando. Yeah.
But I do agree with you that we ended in a place where I am excited for what's to come more, because it seems like we're going to get some more personal stories, adventure stories with Din and Grogu, minus IG-12. So we'll need to find a new way to communicate.
Yeah, I saw something today on Twitter. I can't remember if it was from Variety, but they talked about how there is going to be a season 4, and it's going to be exactly what the finale says it is. Like him hunting down Imperials in the Outer Rim.
Well, Favreau has already finished writing it, so it won't be affected by the writer's strike either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Carson Teva, I think the Variety story said that Carson Teva is going to factor pretty heavily.
Mm-hmm.
But, so that's good.
Yeah. I'd like to see them, I said this on Twitter, I'd like to see them, I know like you can't just make something 12 episodes, but like I would accept lower budget episodes, make it a bit more like serialized, more, add the occasional villain of the week, add the occasional, warlord to fight, and just, do what the show started off as, I think.
Yeah. Like do you think
we had our big moment, like it did its thing. Like you met Luke Skywalker, you fought Dark Troopers. You could still do lots of cool Legends tie-ins, lots of cool book tie-ins, lots of cool nerdy Star Wars stuff without it being like this multiple season long arc where, okay, now Moff Gideon is like, this is a Dark Trooper Mark III Volume 2. It's imbued with the power that will eventually help bring Palpatine back to life. It's like, okay, cool, we did that. Let's just have like, our own thing for a bit.
Before we get on with that, that reminds me, I do want to say again on the other stuff, like the Gideon Force clone stuff that is building up, that built up to nothing for the Mandalorian. That the counter to that isn't that it was just setting up for the sequel trilogy, because literally the episode before we had the rest of the Imperial Council, including Hux especially, who is directly in the faction working on that, saying that what Gideon is doing is not like that. Those tanks weren't Snoke's, so maybe they get some of the tech from him, but as far as Din and Grow in Gideon's story, that is not just what that is setting up for. But
yeah, no, I agree. I will say, I noticed Gideon had no mustache right away. I'm a big mustache guy. I was like, where's his mustache? The theory is that he's a clone. Without Gideon was a clone. I don't want this to happen.
They can't clone mustaches, Justin.
Well, no.
It just can't be done.
Well, no, because the clones in the vat didn't have their mustaches yet, because you got to grow it, right? They didn't have hair. They didn't have. I don't know if they had eyebrows, but
I think they were only lacking the mustache. They just looked exactly like the other guy.
I made a really funny joke on stream where it was like, they have the one thing I lack, and I said a foreskin, and nobody laughed.
Yeah, because only you think foreskins are funny.
I just thought it was a funny. I just thought it was a
thing.
funny joke, but
I've never met anyone else that is so obsessed with foreskins.
I'm not obsessed. I just thought it was a funny joke, Corey.
No, is
Chat,
one
please
joke?
laugh.
That's
Please
a
laugh.
joke.
Please laugh, chat.
15 jokes. There's not a week that goes by where I've talked to you where you have not mentioned foreskins. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, that's not true. Until I mentioned it the first time. Like, it wasn't 1 week in, I was like, hey, Corey.
Okay, yeah, so you broke the seal on the foreskins, and now
all right, let's move
they're
on.
just
Let's
all
move
out
on.
here.
Let's move on. Breaking the seals, that's a hurtful term when talking about when Moff Gideon lost. Let's move on.
Okay. Well, so what if we grant your premise? We're getting the villain of the week, but the villain every week is a new Gideon.
Just
clone.
a different Gideon with like slightly different facial hair.
Yeah, the mustache gets bigger with each one until we got like Handlebar. That's how Zinj gets born in new canon.
I'd be cool with well, no, because then he'd be skinny.
No, but like the mustache grows and so does he.
Okay. So it's like, yeah, environmental factors. So it's like this Zinj was born on a world abundant with food.
Yeah, this Gideon.
Yeah, this Gideon, right?
Zinj is French for Gideon, so the clues were there all along.
Right.
So you're saying that you don't see the lack of a mustache as proof that Gideon was a clone?
I mean, it's a choice, right? Like, it's a choice to not have your character have a mustache. Why did they make that choice? And then, like, I think, I thought I knew what I was talking about when I said they're definitely going to show the mythosaur, and then they just didn't. So, like, why? I don't know why anyone still listens to fucking anything I say, but
there's only one way to be right,
okay.
Right? There's any number of things you can predict that will be wrong, but there's only one way to be right, and you can come to multiple reasonable conclusions by analyzing what's on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's the journey, not the destination. Like, if you're just out there throwing out, what if fucking the entire Jedi Council is in those tubes as he's walking past them? That's a stupid prediction, because obviously not. But I don't think it was stupid to say, like, even before we saw this episode, maybe it's Gideon, maybe it's something related to Snoke or Snoke-esque Force-related creations because he's stealing stuff from the First Order. I think both of those, if you're arguing them the right way, even if you're wrong, those are reasonable statements to make.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. So, like, I don't think it's going to be clone Gideon. But I understand why people do, because, I tend to think anything that's done, especially that's a deviation from what was done previously, there's some rationale behind it. At some point, someone had to say, what should Moff Gideon look like? And they're going to say, okay, let's shave his face. Like, let's have his face different this time, or let's, like, put him in new armor. Unless Giancarlo just shows up, and maybe that is how it worked, but I kind of doubt it. I'm sure that, like, when you show up to set, they have, like, they tell you what they want you to look like, but
yeah.
And then there's a decision to have the clones look the same way. I don't think he'll end up being a clone, because I think it'd be pretty lame if, like, 3 seasons were ended with is he or is he not going to be back. But maybe.
Yeah, I think he could be a clone, but I have like a 5% chance on that. I hope he's not, and I think even if he is, that saying that the mustache is proof is weak.
I think it could be some proof, but I don't think it's determinative proof or anything.
Okay. But wouldn't the Shadow Council, if Gideon's taking those calls every week and he has a mustache sometimes and no mustache the other times, isn't someone going to pick up on that? Is he doing the flashcard learning that Thrawn did for himself?
Well, we don't know if Thrawn's flashcard learning was going to work.
We do.
No, we don't.
All the flash learning worked for everyone else.
Who?
That wasn't an unproven technology in Legends.
I mean, I don't know. It worked for, like, who would you say it worked for?
That's how all of his, like, troopers were trained.
Yeah, but they were mostly chosen based on like inherent ability. Like,
Yeah. eugenic principles.
Like Soontir Fell was chosen
for the capabilities.
Right.
But the way they did the training, it seemed like they were heavily relying on flash learning for everything.
Well, in the Thrawn duology, they even say, like, I can't remember exactly. I think it's Park or one of those guys is like, we don't know what he'll be when he comes back. Like
that was more of a, like, if you try to clone Thrawn, but he's not actually Thrawn, even if you've like taught him a bunch of shit, he's still, who knows what that's going to be like. But I mean, I think it would work. We'll never know if the Force would actually have been cloned into him. That feels like the kind of thing that shouldn't work, because I don't know.
Well, that was the kind of thing in Legends. Like, yeah, you can do it. They're probably gonna go crazy though. To like varying degrees. Obviously, that's like the Star Killer story, right? In the second game,
inserting some Force into a person who didn't Force before, because Legends also went Crucible, a lot more. Yeah, like remember? Legends went a lot more. I don't
remember those two little alien dudes.
I remember like Riptide and Crosscurrent being weird about that shit.
Well, there's like the two little alien guy. Anyways, yeah. Okay.
I feel like New Canon democratizes the Force a bit more than Legends did, though. Too, where like Legends, it meant you were part of the Ubermensch a lot more than it does now.
Yeah,
especially with like how Last Jedi was trying to set it up. But
yeah, that was probably my favorite thing that movie did, where it was like where it was, I liked how Luke was like, the Jedi are arrogant to think they have dominion over the light side or whatever. I really like that. Like the moving away from, you got to be a Jedi to be a good, not just a good person, but a good Force user. Because like, yeah, Jedi is just like, that's just like, you know, you went to school to be a Force user, but like there's still lots of good Force users who kind of learned on their own. Like my buddy, you know, he's a great chef. He didn't go to school for it, but he can still rock with the best of them.
Yeah, he never uses Force lightning to cook his food.
No, never.
Yeah,
never.
So maybe Gideon had the power within him all along, and he just didn't know how to access it. Maybe if he was friendlier, it would have been okay.
Did he try the power of love?
No, not even once.
Yeah.
Man never said the words.
Yeah.
Though, if his backstory is still the same from Breaking Bad, then that's why he went on the dark path, though, too. Because he was in love, and then the Salamancas killed him.
Is that stuff from the follow-up show?
I think that was only explained in Better Call Saul. Yeah, they did the backstory.
So he wasn't always as evil as he is?
Well, he was still involved with the cartels. So
yeah.
I don't think he got.
But he wasn't as brutal, I guess.
Yeah, he got very revenge set against the Salamancas.
What was that? What was the name of that guy who Jesse killed? Remember him?
Tuco?
No. Like the really soft, like the nice guy. He worked in the lab with them. It was like Gale or something.
Gale?
Was it Gale?
Yeah.
Well, get Gale in Star Wars. Get him doing something.
You've got Gale.
Just a thought. Just get Gale in there somewhere.
Yeah. Do you think he could be like a spice manufacturer in the Haxian Brood or
that
something?
might be a little too on the nose.
Well, we could get a Breaking Bad, but just as Star Wars is the setting. There's just so many genres we could cover of Star Wars-ified slice of life. We haven't said that on the podcast in a while.
Yeah.
But the best part of Better Call Saul is that there's this guy, Nacho. He's played by Michael Mando. And there was, watching Better Call Saul in the lead up to this finale, he was going against Fring. So watching Mando take on Moff Gideon in a whole different context was phenomenal.
Yeah, I've never heard of Michael Mando before now, but I recognize his face, so...
There's definitely a joke in there somewhere between Star Wars, Better Call Saul, and Morbius. Dr. Michael Mando.
Michael J. Mandius. Yeah. Let's get a little deep, maybe. Oh, he played Voss in Far Cry.
There you go.
which Gideon was also, Giancarlo Esposito was also in, I think, the 5th one, right?
I've never played Far Cry.
Yeah. Oh no, he's in 6, and Voss was in 6 too. The connections, like the deeper we go. Yeah.
The fact that they got Skinny Pete, they got Gideon, they didn't get Michael Mando in The Mandalorian. That's a travesty.
It's not yet Manding time. It's Manding time.
It's a very demanding
and the
job.
guy from Morbius was going to be in The Rise of Skywalker.
The shitty main actor, Jared Leto, the cult leader.
No, I just fucking googled Morbius. That's in my search history now.
Nothing will ever be funnier than them re-releasing
Matt
that.
Smith was going to be in The Rise of Skywalker.
Wasn't he in Star Wars a few places? Because he's no, it's David Tennant that I'm thinking of with Hu Yang.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's too many Doctors Who.
Yeah, too many goddamn doctors in this goddamn sci-fi franchise.
As a Star Wars fan, they just need to cut down on the number of characters in these other sci-fi franchises.
I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but like I'm pretty sure it's been like almost officially confirmed. Yeah, he said that he was in talks to play, that he was going to be in Star Wars. The part became obsolete. So I kind of wonder, like the rumor is he was supposed to play young Palpatine. And I think at Star Wars Celebration, Ian said that he was his choice to play young him as well, the most recent Star Wars Celebration. So
I can actually see that. Like if you think of the picture of young Palpatine with Plagueis, it's clearly Ian, just his face on a younger guy.
Yeah.
I can see Matt Smith playing that. I can see the family resemblance there.
Was that from the Essential Guide to Novel or the
ERC maybe? Yeah. I don't know where it's from. I'm just intimately familiar with it.
Yeah, because it's
intimately familiar.
It's got like that same like just slightly wrong proportions that I feel like it might be Reader's Companion art.
Yeah. God, that image of like the family dinner from Legacy of the Force, that gift just keeps on giving. Because like the corner of the table, it just looks like the cat meme.
Yeah.
At the table, yeah. Every time you look at that, there's something new to be amused by. But anything? We've really gone off topic from the show, or not really. We've kind of gone off topic from the show. Is there anything else we want to talk about with?
No, really.
The ends of it. So I think I have to go through and do my prediction count up properly for the death count. Obviously, Gideon is the only death being accepted at this time, which means I think I owe about $70 to my local food bank. And I think we need to double check on who said what about the post-credit scene. Because I can't remember if I said there wasn't or was going to be one.
I feel like
I think I said no.
Yeah, I feel like you did say no.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we each owe some charity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Way she goes.
She goes.
Yeah.
I thought I was.
Why was there a slight shudder in that? You're like, like,
well,
like,
I was just thinking about Axe
do I
again.
make you nervous?
No, I was thinking about Axe because there was the moment he's on the ship, and it's coming crashing down towards the surface of the Mando planet, and it really thought I had it that he was going to die there. Because like, if you're on a ship like that, you tell everyone to get off. You're sitting there at the helm. Usually that means you're going to die, but he had a jetpack and he used it.
And we were both like, oh yeah, right.
Well, I didn't think he'd be able to blast through the fucking windows on the bridge of a cruiser with his blaster. Maybe he could run for the door, but like, get some better windows.
Same thing Grievous did. It's like every time I'm like the Grievous thing. That's been something I've mentioned in my bad Star Wars ship design. Like, yeah, they shouldn't have windows, and the response is always like, oh yeah, but they're the same material basically as the rest of the ship. Did you not see General Grievous like casually pop one open? Now we've got Axe Woves just kind of piecing out of the ship. Like, the windows probably shouldn't do that.
Axe Woves?
Yeah, Axe Woves.
Axe Woves? I will.
I'm goddamn tired of that, Corey.
Well, he's still around, so fucking get used to it. Do you think we're gonna get any B stories with Bo-Katan on Mandalore in the next season, or are we moving on from that story for now?
I think we're moving on. I don't think they'll split time.
Okay. Not even like an episode where Bo-Katan calls him up because the.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the Let's Help Bo-Katan the episode. But I don't see it being like we're following her throughout multiple episodes.
Yeah. I think that's probably the right call there.
Yeah. I feel like they'll find something for her though. Because Katie's she's too eager. She's like the fans love her. There's
no way she's not in the movie, of course.
Yeah,
like
and she looks perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where we're building with the Mando stories as well. I know you're hoping for just going back to Adventure of the Week, shorter seasons, but like over the next few years, we got to set up. Or yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. Okay. But I think over the next few seasons, that is what we're building towards, is like a culmination for the Imperial Warlord stuff. So there is going to be like a main overarching plot, even if it's slower to get to it in this next season. It'll probably be the least connected to it, but we've probably got 3 or 4 years leading up to the movie where those seasons are going to be movie presets.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just thinking about Bo-Katan. There's like a meme where it's like, I don't even know what this is from, but it's like a woman, and she's like, if you don't stop, I'm going to go fuck your dad. And I can just imagine Bo-Katan saying that to Grogu. Or I'm going to be your new stepmom if you don't stop. Like if he ever gets out of line and challenges her for Mandalore, like, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, now Grogu can never have the Darksaber.
He can make his own. Cute little Darksaber.
What if Grogu comes back and fixes the Darksaber? They're not going to throw the thing out, right? Or did they just leave it in the fire pit?
I don't know. Probably the crystal probably shattered. One thing that I noticed, she was holding the Darksaber when he squeezed it. He broke the Darksaber. Her hand should be mush. She's like, oh shit, and then she's like, I'm good. She's like, I'm good to hold a torch. Not a big deal.
The Mandalorian is not made by the hand.
That was one of my favorite scenes. I think unironically my favorite scene was the fucking armor coming in with the barbecue tongs. Just like like every time I got tongs, I like whenever I'm barbecuing, I chase August around. I'm just like snapping them in his ear and like I don't know how else you use them in battle.
Cruelty.
It's what?
That's kind of cruelty.
No, he loves it. What do you mean?
Okay, that's fine.
I don't crush. I just make the sound in his ear. I don't like fucking catch his ear on it or anything.
Good. I'm just glad the tongs showed up in the Mandalorian.
Yeah, you made that joke on stream too.
And no one liked it back then. I'm gonna keep doing it, Mr. Fucking Foreskin.
I made a video about that. I thought the tongs could be those little guys in the caves.
The trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not. This aged like milk.
I'm trying to think what my most aged like milk prediction was for this. I think my worst prediction was the Dome City. I was like, it's got to be a recovered Mandalore because that's a Mandalorian dome. Turns out, no.
I don't think it can age like milk if it was reasonable. Age like milk has to be like, what the fuck is wrong with your thought process?
Yeah. That's fair. I'm sure I had a few of those as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any of them that I like regret making, because I feel I was wrong on a lot of my predictions, but I can't think of one right now that I like. If I go back in time, knowing what I know, do I feel like I was completely off on my reasoning?
Yeah.
For why I would have thought that? Because like I also thought that Moff Gideon probably wouldn't make clones of himself to make an army, and I'm kind of 50-50 on that, because like I could see.
I said that too because he's so egocentric.
Yeah, because my feeling was like he'd think that another Gideon would just be a rival for himself, but it turns out it's the only person he can respect. So he wanted to have like an orgy of himself in an army. Mm-hmm. So I was definitely wrong on that, and I'm not upset that they went the other direction. Like, I still think my logic was reasonable for it,
I was gonna
and
say,
my focus was more on the logic than on the conclusion. But I don't feel embarrassed for having made that prediction.
yeah, and that's like the basic, like that's like law, the reasonableness test. It's like half of the in law, I'm sure you know this, but half of the legal tests are like on reasonableness. Like, okay, the judge made this decision, was it reasonable? And one of the things you look at is, were they basing the decision off of real evidence, and is there a coherent like string of logic that they used to get to that point? And yeah, I agree. There's a difference between saying like, I think Moff Gideon is the mythosaur. Like, he is. Yeah. And like, I think someone is going to ride the mythosaur, or like, I think someone's going to call out to them. Yeah. Like, there's a difference. Yeah. I agree. Because like one,
I actually go for it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I thought of what I've said that's wrong, but you can.
No, go ahead. I want to hear about how you were wrong.
So I did 2 videos about the Darksaber when people started saying, oh, Bo-Katan got it from Sewer Grievous, so this means it's hers. Oh, yeah. And I was so focused on it not being like a magical property where like it has to belong to whoever has that even my own arguments, which were so much about that it's not this fucking ephemeral substance that ties the Darksaber to its rightful owner. It's about the narrative of the weapon. And I didn't consider in that Din doesn't want it, and Din could reinforce the narrative that it should be Bo-Katan's. Because I was so focused on like, well, if it's Bo-Katan's and she's getting it that way, then she would have to make that argument, and no one's going to support her taking it from Din that way, which I still agree with, but I didn't consider that Din was going to tell her, no, you did that, this is yours now, everyone should listen to me.
Like, he was been looking for an excuse the whole time. Like, if he had an excuse on the cruiser, he might have tossed it.
Done it. Yeah. He basically told her at that point to kick his ass, and she was like, no. So that's where I think that's what I was most wrong about.
So they got three of those Clan Vizsla birdies, right? They didn't eat them, presumably. How, if they make, like, I'm just wondering, there's only 3 of them. This is my big thing I want to see in Mando Season 4. I want to see the fucking, how genetically fucked this new population of interbred Mandalorian birds is in like 20 years, where there's been 3 of them. They're all related. I just want to, that's not enough genetic diversity to support a full population of those animals. So I kind of want to see what happens with that. That's my big curiosity.
That's where the cloning tech comes in, though. Rather than getting a bunch of deformed Jaguar with like Habsburg gin or something.
Habsburg gin. Yeah, I'm a Mandalorian
bird. We should have eaten you on Navarro. All right.
No, those birds weren't eaten. There were
those were the Reptavians from the first season.
Yeah.
Go watch the Siege, I think, is the episode that had them when they're running through the canyon.
It was the second to last one.
Oh yeah, that Siege was last season. Season 2.
Yeah, second to last of season 1. Because it's when Grogu uses healing powers on Gideon. Because Gideon gets a fatal blow. I'm actually, one thing I'm glad about, I'm glad there was no secret spy.
Yeah.
As much as I was joking while watching, like, oh, whoever's leaving that tunnel, they're the sus ones. But
yeah, it turned out to be the Israelites spying the new land, the promised land. So
not the Blurgs Ewok, the things, like the flying creatures that Grief Karga got stabbed by one. They're only in I think they were only in that one scene when they're camping. I don't think they were in.
Oh, you called him Gideon.
Oh, did I? Oops, sorry. Grief Karga. I could not think of 2 different people than them, so I don't know. Although they both have mustaches. They both know the Mandalorian. So
well, Grief didn't have his in the last scene, so it's a clone.
Fuck.
All right. Anything else we want to touch on with this before we go off to the X2 podcast? A much less Star Wars related podcast.
I would have liked to see a scene where Grief Karga is coming by and taking the bones of the soup from the birds, or taking the bones and using it to make a soup. Rather, that would have been good.
Would have been good. So even if Bo-Katan didn't ride the mythosaur during the battle, do you think when Din was on the way out that she rode the mythosaur?
She might have. I don't know. Like, I was looking for, like, you know me, I love spotting sexual tension. But I don't know. I didn't really see it. I think he's had that widow on his mind since season 1, episode 4, I think it was. I think that he's got eyes on one gal. I think he's gonna go pick her ass up and bring her to his little cottage on Navarro.
Yeah.
I'd love
How
it.
do you think the conversation went that Din was leaving, though? It was like they fought for the planet. He told Bo-Katan that he would serve her until her song is written, but then they take the planet back, and he's like, no, actually, this place kind of fucking sucks.
You know
what? Cottage waiting for me on Navarro.
You know what an Irish goodbye is? Where, like, you basically, like, you just leave. I think, like, a Mandalorian goodbye is, like, even more so. Like, you literally just fucking, like, you just, like, back up slowly anytime you're near, like, a big curtain and just disappear.
He went straight from the baptism of Grogu and Ragnar and is pieced out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think he warned anyone to, like, watch out near the edge of the water there?
Big cliff, by the way. Big cliff.
Very slippery.
Yeah.
Do not
don't send them down too far.
You'll see the mythosaur.
You'll see the mythosaur. I like to think that, like, the armorer, like, she just fully believes that, like, Bo-Katan's full of it now.
Oh yes, Bo-Katan.
Oh yeah, the mythosaur is down there. This little fucking lake. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you go check. Go ahead. Oh, you jetpacked underwater. Right. That's how jetpacks work. Okay.
Right. Din, one of our best warriors, slipped and fell. Okay.
Oh, you rescued him twice. Oh, after he got caught by the blood spider. Okay. The General Grievous blood spider. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there was. He had a TV for a head, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, you got the dark saber. Okay. Dark saber and mythosaur in one day. Wow, that was a good day for you.
You fought the giant crab while Din was asleep, and then you got the dark saber. Yeah, okay.
Oh, he was underwater with you. You were carrying him, and he didn't see the mythosaur either. The giant monster with the eye larger than you. Oh, okay. Okay, sure.
Yeah. What if Bo-Katan was just an unreliable narrator, and that all was from her perspective? And
the baby just sensed it. The baby who can't speak. Oh, okay.
That's. Is the mythosaur in this room with us right now?
Oh yeah, the baby looks like it just saw an ancient Mandalorian creature. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, the baby can't speak. Oh, and the baby.
You happen to tell us this right after the robot with the yes and no gets demolished.
The baby's yes and no robot is destroyed. That's so funny how that happened. Oh, and
I just hate when that happens.
The monster didn't come help us out in battle. That's so weird. Ancient Mandalorian creature we used to ride when we needed it, when our ship was being destroyed. Oh, okay. Funny.
Gideon didn't take the darksaber from you. It got crushed, right? Yeah.
Also, the dragon lives underwater. Okay.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're done. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm gonna say goodbye to my chat and read some super chats. But everyone who's joined this stream, guys, make sure you check out our podcast, Hapcaf Transmissions. All the listeners, make sure you send us our emails. We are going to try to get some read to you next time. And what is it? Dark Journey? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. So we'll be doing Dark Journey focused, NJO focused emails next week at the end of the show. Week after that, we'll probably do a full-blown Q&A for any of the questions that we've missed over the last little while that haven't been made irrelevant by other media coming out. So that'll be in 2 Thursdays from now. 1 Thursday from now, it's Dark Journey. We should probably do Jedi Survivor in there somewhere, so that might get shoved around a bit. We'll see. Dark Journey for sure next week. No one will have a chance to finish the game, so we can't talk about it next week anyways. So, yeah.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us on this recording. Sorry I didn't answer your super chats. Also, hello, HQ. Good to see you. Nice to see you. Let me read some of the super chats and then head over to the other stream.
See if they're online right now. If
Brandon said, "Eck, I'm a long." Oh, do you want here? I'll leave, so I'm not talking to your chat.
No, that's fine. I'm flying.
Okay.
I was seeing if they were in the chat.
Brandon said, "Eck, I'm a longtime fan. I love the work you do, and keep it up." Thank you, Brandon. You're probably gone now. Skywalker said, "Hi, Eck, longtime sub. Loved Star Wars my entire life, still do. Love Filoni, Favreau past project, but it's clear the writing of Book of Boba Fett season 3. They've bent the knee to Kathleen. Thoughts? Listen, I don't know enough about what fucking Kathleen Kennedy does. Like, I'm not gonna blame them not knowing how to write a fucking capture scene on Kathleen Kennedy. Whoever it was, I feel that sent Grogu back with Mando, yes, they did hurt the progression of both shows, but I'm not going to blame that on, because I don't know who the fuck did that. And yeah, very excited about Survivor 2 HQ. Very excited. We'll have to chat when it comes out. Sean said, X, some off-topic questions. What do you think of Jedi Survivor, and what forms are you... Oh, maining. I'm doing Blaster and Crossguard myself. I haven't tried Blaster yet, or we didn't try Crossguard either. I'm going to go... I didn't really like... Corey, you maybe can give your thoughts on this. I wasn't a huge fan of the double saber. Like the... Because it changes why it changes from heavy attack to auto parry. And like, for me, trying to do the parries is like one of the most fun parts. So I didn't like the loss of the force attack for that. I don't know.
It's not really like perma auto parry. It's one specific move that does that, because like it's kind of a charge up thing. But I actually really like it because of the animation canceling.
Yeah, that is nice. But if you attack somebody, like if you X light attack and then click Y for heavy attack, it goes straight into the... Doesn't it go straight into the parry move? Like you can't do like a follow up, because like I like to punish like a light attack, break the posture, then hit them with a heavy attack, and I don't think you can really do that.
You can do everything a lot faster with that. I like all of that I've been able to do, or I was able to do faster.
Yeah, but you can't do the heavy attack is what I mean. Like
there's not really any heavy attacks with the dual sabers.
Yeah.
And that was what I was mostly using in the preview we did. Because I thought I'd enjoy it a lot more. It is still what I'm looking forward to using most. But we had like a demonstration towards the end that we were allowed to talk about with like one of the combat designers doing a lot of the, like going through all the stances, even the ones we couldn't play with. And I did not have any interest in the blaster thing, but then some of the stuff they showed us looked really cool.
I'm not convinced. I think blaster, there's a chance it's not its own stance. I think blaster might be something you can add on to any of them, because we don't know how it works really. It could be like a combo, like you know how in the other games it's like if you hold, like, you know, lightsaber throw, for example, is one of the triggers and then, or one of the bumpers, then like one of the buttons. Maybe blaster will be worked in like that.
Well, it seemed like he was doing a bunch of different moves with it, so it didn't seem like it was just being tacked on to other stuff.
I saw like at least 3 different attack types.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think of what.
He did one where he was like setting up, like he slowed down time. He like targeted all the guys in the air and then like blasted between them all. There was a fair amount that he showed us.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna use regular single saber and the claymore, because I like doing heavy builds. Like in my recent Elden Ring, I went heavy, so probably do single and heavy. Yeah. I think there's going to be an option for you to run 3 at the end, because like they've had secrets about, like last game the secret was the double lightsaber, and you could do the crack them apart, because they didn't advertise that, and like it was a surprise you got through the game. I think there's going to be one secret where it's like, okay, something about stances doesn't work exactly like we told you. What do you think about that?
I could see that happening. Like, because we were able to choose between 2.
Yeah. 2 of 3.
The whole time we played.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe it was just how the demo was set up at the end, but he was just kind of going through everything. It might have just been a practice environment kind of thing that he set up, but we'll see.
Yeah, like, because there's no reason, like, control wise, because it's just I forget what button it is to control, but it's just you click a button and it switches stances. So
yeah, I think it's the same buttons as you did last time for swapping between the single and double.
Yeah. All right, chat. I think that's all I have. Did they get the other podcast ready?
It is set up. It is set to go in 24 minutes, but we should probably get over there and tell them to move it up.
Yeah. All right, guys. If you want to continue, I'm gonna put a link to the other YouTube channel. We're gonna grab some drinks. We're just gonna chat. YouTube.com/x2/live should work.
See you there.
Yeah. See you there. Oh, in a second. God, I hate that Corey guy. Now that he's gone. Fuck. Yeah, thanks for all the super chat, guys. I gotta know, chat. You guys are my core community. Are you enjoying this this streaming, like this return to streaming? I noticed we've had some pretty decent viewing numbers, so you guys seem to enjoy it. You want to do more streams? What kind of streams would you like me to do? Like a weekly Q&A check-in? What are you thinking? That's good. Okay. Because, yeah. Oh, hi, Mike. Good to see you, by the way. I think when Jedi Survivor comes out, I will be streaming it on this channel instead of my gaming one. I also would like to do more... once I did a live Starship tier list video that was really fun. Let me just see. I'm kind of curious. Tier list ships, Eckhart's Ladder. Kind of curious how that one did. Yeah, that got 421,000 views. So if there are more videos like that you guys would like me to do, we could do it. Just email them, leave them in a hashtag #AskEck. If you ever want to reach me, I know I can be a hard person to reach. I've got a lot of people who want to talk, which is awesome. The best thing I check as many comments as I do, like once or twice a day. Across all my channels. The best way for me to read your comment is I read every email I get, every single email. Excuse me. I don't respond to all of them, but I read every single email I get. I don't respond to most of them, actually. I just don't have time. But if you want me to see something, email if it's important. Don't abuse it. Or hashtag the other best way without... As if it's just like an email and it just says, hey, I'm going to be a little annoyed. Hashtag AskEck. I read every hashtag AskEck because there's not that many of them. But yeah, that's all for now. Any other thoughts before I leave? The other thing I'll mention before I leave, we will be in a few days starting a big fundraiser for a really good cause. A really good fundraiser for a good cause. Sick kids. Not the hospital sick kids, but the idea of sick kids. We're going to raise money for sick children. And we've got lots of... They gave me a huge budget for prizes, depending on how much money we raise. There's like a PS5. I think there's a Luke Skywalker lightsaber. Like a life-sized... I was going to say a life-sized Grogu, but that's not that big. Maybe BB-8. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, hugs and kisses. See you soon.